Incident Commander series are brought to you by Kuhn Backers.
Welcome to another episode of the Incident Commander series. The title of this episode might not be exactly what you would typically expect. Today, we're diving into something that could completely change how you would lead through a cybersecurity incident as an incident commander going forward. It is not about sneaking on people. It's not about physical security CCTV cameras. It's about threats and people. And the real question is, can you detect both through a screen? Let's start with the security side of things. I would like to walk you through one of the most notable incidents I became aware of in 2024. In early 2024, a finance employee at the Hong Kong branch of a UK multinational was tricked into transferring 200 million Hong Kong dollars, over 25 million US dollars, to fraudsters. The twist of the story was that every participant in the video call, except the employee, was a deepfake. The scam worked as follows. The employee first received a message from the Chief Financial Officer, the CFO, requesting a confidential transaction. While initially skeptical, the employee joined the video call with familiar colleagues. But the scammers used AI-generated deepfakes, realistic video and voice clones, to impersonate everyone. These were built using publicly available content, likely from YouTube or past meetings. The voices were cloned, the faces were fake. The trust? That felt real. The financial damage was that 15 transactions were made over a week. Funds were sent to 5 local bank accounts. The fraud was only discovered when the employee checked with the real head office. One of the interesting aspects on this attack were the psychological manipulations that the threat actors used. The scammers avoided direct interaction, asking the employee only to introduce himself. This subtle tactic made the deepfakes more believable. Familiar faces and voices reinforced trust, even though none of them were real. Learning from the incident just mentioned, as an incident commander we have to realize that vocal and visual verification alone is no longer enough. Even live videos can be faked. As an incident commander, therefore, you need to consider to verify identities through multiple channels, voice, secure messaging, or in person. Consider the use of an internal only available verification tool. For example, a time-limited random word generator visible only to employees. Train your people to recognize deepfake manipulation, even though it is getting harder and threat actors have the best financial means to purchase all the technologies currently out there. Cybercriminals often have more budget and better tools than we do as defenders. Let's talk a bit more about virtual war rooms and hybrid war rooms. When a major incident hits, critical systems and sometimes entire networks go down. Stakeholders panic and the pressure is really intense. Your role as an incident commander isn't just technical, it's deeply human. But in virtual meetings, you lose the ability to read the room unless you know what to look for. When operating on a hybrid incident room model, the first challenge is the loss of visual equity. This is when the incident commander can't see or hear everyone clearly. You miss body language, side chats, and emotional cues. Next, you need to deal with audio disparities. Conference mics sometimes don't capture all voices, and as a result, critical information might get lost. And then, there's the fragmented attention, in-room participants that are focusing on each other, and where remote voices basically get sidelined. When multiple people are talking to each other at the same time, you will feel challenged to identify who's speaking, creating risks of mid-attribution or impersonation. And then there's also the tech limitations. For example, when the camera quality or visual angle is poor, visual cues are lost. From a human perspective, you may face emotional disconnect. As a result, you can't get a sense of the war room's overall energy. which makes it harder to manage things such as morale or conflict. And finally, you may face decision lags or misses. Remote input is delayed or ignored, which may result in you not being to record the consensus of all participants. So what are some of the mitigating strategies that you can adopt? Well, if you're the incident commander, ideally, be in the physical war room. If that's not possible, however, and you're leading the incident remotely, here's a few things to help you work around these challenges. Use 360-degree cameras and individual mics, and ensure the setup is tested before starting your first war room. You can also assign a room facilitator to echo remote voices and take notes. You can also enforce camera on policies, and finally, use available functions such as digital hand raising and chat monitoring. Let's dive next into the psychology of visual cues. Did you know that over 70% of communication is nonverbal? That includes facial expressions, posture, tone, and eye movement. In a virtual room, visual communication can help you verify, get a sense on stress levels, detect uncertainty, doubt, or maybe even disengagement. But let's now turn to the concept of the hidden camera. Imagine your camera is actually a hidden camera. The intention is not to use it in a creepy way, but as a tool for situational awareness. When cameras are on, you can spot when someone's confused or maybe unsure about their task, or notice if someone is distracted or multitasking, possibly see who's engaged and who's checked out. This isn't about surveillance, this is about leadership. A personal note on profile picture used in collaboration tools, I'd like to share an example with you. I've seen people use outdated profile pictures in virtual calls, and when they finally turned on their camera, they looked far more professional and experienced than expected. It changed how I perceived their authority and their credibility. Honestly, I get it. I don't love seeing myself on screen either, especially when someone shares their desktop and I see my own face on their screen. But I do believe in the power of presence. Turn your camera on isn't about vanity, it's about influence. If you're looking for actionable tips, here's a few things you can do right now. Require cameras on during critical meetings. Use the gallery view to monitor reactions. Watch out for micro-expressions by the participants. A raised eyebrow, a tight jaw, a smile, a glance away. Ask for visual confirmations, thumbs up, nods, hand raises. It adds humanity to a virtual world. Follow up privately if someone looks off or appears distracted or overwhelmed. They might need support in task prioritization. Sometimes, inadvertently not only be working on your tasks, but that individual doesn't have the right support from his management, that your task may be more pressing than his day-to-day work. Let's wrap this up for today. In cybersecurity, we often focus on the technical. But during a major incident, your ability to read people, even through a screen, can be just as critical. So next time you're in a virtual war room, don't just listen. Show yourself and watch. If you like the content of this episode, do not hesitate to leave a like, comment, and subscribe and follow the series on the various platforms it is provided on. Please also feel free to suggest any topics of interest that you'd like to see discussed on this series.
The Incident Commander series are brought to you by Kuhn Backers.